This regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of Florence is being called to order. Would each board member who's present please introduce yourself, starting far right.
May Holmes alive.
Linda Barr Williams.
Gerard Moultrie.
Thomas Porter.
And on the phone, we do have Brother Calvin, Dr. Calvin Robinson, and my name is Douglas Hawkins. I do determine that a quorum is present. May we have the introduction of staff?
Okay. We have our housing director,
Your mic's off.
Jennifer Manning. Oh, it's off. Okay. Yes, we have our, our deputy director, Jennifer Manning. We have our finance director, Monica White. We have my executive assistant, Shayna Sullivan, on staff. And I'm going to introduce the new employees at another time, later.
And you
And Dr. Alfonso Bradley, executive director. And we also have Ms. Sanchez, Ms. Francis Sanchez.
Okay. And okay, if you don't mind, those who are in the audience, could you please just give us names? And we're going to do that. We're going to do that also, but we'll just take your names for the time being, and then we'll get to why you're here. Okay. Yeah.
Rich Brown, Jim Garland,
Brittany McElveen.
Barry Burton.
Jamila Johnson.
Abdul Zafir.
Seth Taylor.
Okay, and two on the front.
Vanessa Davis.
Okay.
Casey Morris.
Okay. We're happy to have all of you. Welcome to this session. Okay. May we have prayer, please?
Eternal Father, we pause and say thank you. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. And now, God, we ask, God, that you be with us as we conduct the business of the Housing Authority. Amen.
Amen. Okay. First order of business is the election of a. First order of business is the election of a vice chair. That position is now open. So the floor is now open for nomination. The mic keeps going on and off. The floor is now open for nominations for vice chair.
I move Gerard Moultrie for the vice chair for Housing Authority Board. Second.
Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? And please forgive us, we're having some technical difficulties. The floor is now closed. The floor is now closed on the name of.
Chair,
Yes.
if I could, with all, I would ask that we table this voting of vice chair with the reason that there are some things that I'd like to discuss in executive session.
Okay. Does the rest of the commissioners have an issue with tabling this issue until after the executive session? Okay, then in that case it is so ordered. The floor is closed on the nomination on that one name, but we'll table the vote.
Sir, before you close it, I'd like to have that discussion before we close nominations.
And it is so done. So that nomination is open, the floor is still open, but we will table the closing of the nomination and the vote until after our executive session. Okay. There are a couple of things that need to come forth before we do the approval of the agenda. I would like to add the appointment of the volunteer appointment of a commissioner to the Strategic Planning Commissioner, excuse me, to the Strategic Planning Committee, and also to the Personnel Policy Committee, to add to that agenda, and that will come under new business. Does anyone have any objection? Okay. Oh, and also the appointment to a commissioner on the Bylaws Committee. Does anyone have any objection to those items being added? If barring none, then the chair will accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jonathan Charleston. Would ask the chair and the board to consider moving item number 4 to have that addressed preliminarily under item 9.
Are you, okay, so item 4 is the approval of the previous board minutes, and you're saying, you're suggesting.
I'd like to discuss that issue during the executive session.
All right.
Are we talking about just the last meeting's minutes or the previous unapproved minutes?
It says, this says, on this Commissioner Porter, it says approval of the previous board meeting minutes. So I took that to be all of them, and so that's what I wanted to talk about.
Oh.
Right, and I was just looking for a clarification if we were talking about just the last meeting or all of the approved meetings. I mean, all of the.
It'll be a quick update on that.
Okay. Attorney Charleston, will that include the current minutes, the minutes from our last meeting also?
No, you can approve the ones from your last meeting. This is the
Those previous, Lord, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the approval of the previous board minutes, with the exception of our last board, the ones that are in our board packets.
You might just, Mr. Chairman, just be specific as to the date of the minutes that you're approving.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Trying to. The minutes that are up for approval tonight, this morning, excuse me, will be those minutes from Thursday, September 28th, and also from Wednesday, September 19th. Okay. All other minutes will be, the approval of all other board minutes will be moved to after item 9, which is after our executive session. Okay. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? Then the board will accept an approval of the amended agenda.
Gerard motion, make a motion that we accept the amended agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the amended agenda be approved. All of those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option.
Excuse me, I have a question. I'm about to be out of order, but I'm not a question. On the minutes of the 28th, there was someone can you hear me? No, okay. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. On the minutes of the 28th, I'm trying to find it. I wrote a note last night and I seem to not have it with me.
But is your question about those particular minutes?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, all right.
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay.
All of those in favor of approving the amended agenda, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option, and it is so ordered. Okay, now we've come to the approval. I'm gonna go back in there. I apologize for this. I did not see it. We do have one person for public participation. So, and public participation was excluded from the agenda for this time. So, Chair will accept the motion to include public participation in the agenda, and that will come immediately after the approval of the minutes that we have before us.
Commissioner Porter, motions to allow the public session. I can't think of the proper word for that.
Okay, public participation.
Linda Bar Williams second that motion.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded that we amend the agenda again to include public participation. All of those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option, and it is so ordered. Okay, now we've come to the approval of the minutes from September the 28th, 2023. I think that Commissioner Lott had a question about those particular minutes.
Why, yes, I did, and I'm still having trouble. I don't have trouble finding it. And I can't see right now whether it was the 28th or the 19th, but it is about the work orders. Overtime work orders was being discussed, and the answer given by the then superintendent of housing, not of housing, but of maintenance, said that overtime work orders included when the office is closed and weekends. No, it didn't say when the office is closed, it said when on weekends, but it should also reflect holidays. I think that should be in there.
Would you say that again, please?
The overtime work order issue should include holidays. It's not only just weekends and when the office is closed. Now, it didn't say anything about when the office is closed, it just said weekends.
But the minutes should be a reflection of what he actually said. Did he mention the holidays?
No, it did not. That's what I think it needs to be included, is the holidays.
But you can't include it in the minutes of what was said if that's not what was said, you know what I mean?
It was said, that's why.
Oh, okay, so he did say that.
I'm trying to find it.
Yes,
It is.
it was said, but it was not.
Included in.
In the written.
Okay, that is on page 3 at the bottom, where it says Commissioner Linda Bar Williams asked Esperon Huggins to explain what constitutes an overtime work order.
Right,
That particular paragraph.
that's correct.
And you're saying that Brother Esperon did state that, that it also included holidays.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's not it.
Any issues with adding that particular statement to the minutes?
My only issue is it has to be noted that it's being added by a third party that didn't actually make the statement. And if everyone else remembers it, then that's fine with me. I can't say that I recall that actually, that verbiage actually coming from them, so I would have a problem.
Okay. All right. There are some grammatical corrections that need to be made to the minutes of September the 28th. And so the chair will accept a motion to accept the minutes of of Thursday, September 28th with any corrections that need to be made in the grammar.
And just noted that, Doug, the minutes that, Chair, I'm sorry, the minutes that we just referred to are actually in the 19th.
Right.
Right, so the 28th, you're saying there's an issue with the 28th as well?
I should do the 19th first. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
19th.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me for that. Thursday the 28th.
Okay.
Okay. I'm looking at Thursday 28th. Okay, Thursday the 19th. Wednesday the 19th. Chair will accept a motion to approve the minutes of Wednesday the 19th with the correction as concerning the verbiage as stated by Commissioner Lyde.
Make a motion that we accept it with the correction.
I second the motion.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we accept the minutes of Wednesday, September 19th with the stated corrections. All of those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option.
Nay.
The ayes have it, and it is so ordered, but the nay is noted. Okay. Looking at Thursday, September 28th, which is our emergency meeting. Rather than going through each of the grammatical, well, I can just go through it. Where we go to the on the part that says resolution, discussion, and approval. Can you please change that from will accept and change the tense to accepted?
What page are you on, sir?
That would be page 2. The second paragraph is Commissioner Jerry Moultrie. Please change that made A to accept. Change that to made the motion to accept.
A motion, the motion.
The motion. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th bullet marked down. Please state that the Chairman Douglas Hawkins accepted. Just change the tense of that. The next statement should read that Commissioner Moultrie made a motion to approve. And 3, the last one should be rescinded that part of that the attorney will draft the resolution and accepted the amended motion to approve the resolution.
please repeat the last one down?
Oh, that statement down on the bottom. Chairman Douglas Hawkins rescinded the part of the motion that the attorney would draft the resolution
Right.
and accepted the amended motion to approve the resolution for 2023. Just insert the word accepted. Any other? Does any other commissioner see anything else? If not, Chair will accept the motion to approve the minutes of Thursday, September 28th.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes, September 28th meeting.
I second that motion.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the minutes of September 28th be approved
As amended?
as amended. I'm sorry. As amended on the
As
motion?
amended, yes.
Okay. As amended on the chair? On the second?
Yes, as amended.
All of those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option. And it is so ordered. Okay. Do we have another one? No. Sorry, Sam. Okay. Now we have the public participation part of our meeting. We'll call Ms. Brittany McElveen. Would you come forth?
Good morning. Good morning. This is my first board meeting, so I just want to know if there's like a time limit.
I have a few points, I just don't wanna drag it on.
3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes, okay. Well, again, my name is Brittany McElveen. I am a Florence County resident. I'm a part of the Section 8 voucher program. I got my voucher back in 2015, so it's been 8 years. The first 5 years were really good. I didn't have any issues. I'm a first generation Section 8 recipient, so I've been learning as I go with everything. So, like I said, I didn't have any issues. My caseworker was fine. I knew everybody in the office on Pine Street. But about 2020, during the pandemic, I started to notice some issues, and with me not really understanding, how to complain, where to complain. My upbringing is just, you just do what you got to do to get through it. So I didn't try to make too much noise, but prior to that, in 2017, just an example, I had some water damage in my housing unit where I lived. I complained to my landlord, but time went on and it didn't get fixed. So that resulted in a baby possum coming into my cabinet space in my kitchen area. So at that time, I contacted Section 8, my caseworker at the time. She contacted the landlord, and I want to say within 3 to 5 days it was rectified, taken care of. They tore everything out. That was fine. So during the pandemic, specifically year 2020, I had a few issues. And during that time where I lived, if I can say it, can I say where I lived? Yeah. Okay, well, I was in Blue Granite off of Freedom Boulevard. So I started having some issues then, and it became hard to communicate. Like, I would reach out to the landlord. If we didn't have one, we didn't have a maintenance guy. So after that, I would reach out to Housing Authority, and during the pandemic, I wasn't aware that I got a new caseworker. So I was just calling the number that I knew and leaving voicemails, and I didn't get anything. So about April 2021, my new caseworker contacted me, and from that point, we caught up my case as far as my profile and everything. And I mentioned to her that I was about to start a new job. The orientation was set up, but the job never landed. So from 2021 up until like the beginning of 22, it was on my case that I started a new job with X amount of income. So my rent went up from like $147, and then it went to $0, then it went up to like $650. So that resulted in me almost getting evicted. I had to reach out to SU State Plus for them to pay the rent for me. So I contacted my caseworker and I let them know, like, you know, I told you I was starting a job. I haven't signed anything for my income change and it's causing issues where I live. So that went on until January of this year, where I got an actual set-out date. Like, I went to the courthouse a couple of times trying to get more help because I'm like, Lord, I know I didn't do anything wrong, so it's going to be rectified. So my set-out date was for January 13th. I came into the office, I came here on the 11th, which was that Tuesday, and Ms. Sheena at that time made me aware that there was a check dispersed for my account for $3,800 to catch up everything. She told me, the COO at the time told me that I was correct, that nothing should have been changed without my permission or signing anything. So in addition to that, I've had some mold damage in my unit. Again, I made it apparent to my landlord at the time. He fixed my roof. So when I brought him in to see the mold, they want to call it mildew, the mold and mildew damage. They fixed the roof, but they didn't fix anything on the inside. So all during this process, I'm taking my girls to the allergy doctor to see, you know, what's going on. And both of them have a high, you know, reaction to indoor and outdoor mold. So the entire time I'm contacting my caseworker, I'm leaving messages. Nothing really was being done. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm nervous. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but what I'm really getting down to is that I just feel like these past 2 years, a lot of issues I've had in my unit, I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel heard. That was just April of this year. I had an issue with a rodent coming inside, so I had to get a hotel room for me and my girls. So where I stand today, I reached out to my previous caseworker, which was Selena Beebo. She's in Lake City now, and she kind of put me on the path of, you know, this is who you should speak with, this is what you should do. So here today, my case is caught up. I'm still in the same unit. There's more damage in areas where there weren't before, but the issue that I'm having right now with my case being bought current and everything's good, I'm approved for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And being that I'm not employed right now, my amount is for like $989. And the issue with that is that most 1-bedrooms in Florence are going for like $1,000, or if not 11 or 12. So it's just the issue of, you know, with everything I've been through and then trying to get things rectified in the process, it's not that I want to move. If it wasn't for the mold and the lack of maintenance, you know, receipts or whatever, I would stay where I'm at until my girls finish school, but I have to move because of the mold damage. So my biggest issue is just right now the amount for my voucher, because it's small and I've been having issues finding a new place within the requirements of what I'm approved for. And then in addition to that, it's just, I'm not really sure how I was supposed to feel about the lack of participation the past 2 years. I really didn't know who to go to or who to complain to, because back in April I was coming here and, you know, my calls weren't returned, and I'm just really trying to see what can be done moving forward so someone else that's a first generation Section 8 recipient doesn't have to go through the things that I did. Like, I just really, going from, you know, a different type of stability to joining the program, I just thought, you know, if you do what you're supposed to do, follow up with who you're supposed to follow up with, things will be taken care of, and I didn't experience that. So I really just wanted to bring that to you guys this morning to, like I said, in hopes that no one else goes through it and that, you know, processes can be done better in the future.
What's your name again, ma'am?
I'm sorry, Brittany McElveen.
Brittany.
And it's N-E-Y, I'm sorry. B-R-I-T-T-N-E-Y, yes ma'am.
And you live in where?
It's Blue Granite, here in Florence, yes ma'am.
Ms. McElveen, first of all, we want you to know that we hear you, okay? You are being heard. What's going to happen at this particular point is that not only are you being heard by the board, but you being heard by the new executive director. Please understand that while we have gone through, there, in your going through, there are some things that this board, that this agency has been going through also. So, but I'm not going to make excuses for that. The going forward though, you have, the notes have been taken, and I am transferring this issue to the executive director, who is going to, he's going to walk this through.
Okay.
Okay, so that, and you will be apprised at each point. The second, that's your issue. The second issue that I hear that you brought forth is that I see that there has been a lack of communication from, and that's programmatic. So it has been a lack of communication from, you were not aware of, one, who to talk to, number two, how to make a complaint, number three, who or how to get your issue solved. That will be also addressed. I don't want to give you a time limit, but I do say that it will be addressed very soon. Okay?
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so very much for bringing that to us.
Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you too, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
And we do apologize.
Do I sit in? Can I sit in or?
No, you can-
I have another engagement.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You too.
Go ahead.
So at this time, Board of Commissioners and audience, we've had a lot of vacancies at the Housing Authority. I think we had up to 16 vacancies, and we've been doing a lot of hiring since I came on board. And today I wanted to introduce just about all of us, some of, but not all of the new hirees that we have, just so y'all can put a face with a name. And so as I call your name, and I'm going down the list, I might not be going, I'm gonna go down the list here. As I call your name, would you just stand and so that the board can see who you are? I do want to say we are very proud of the new employees. We were very careful about who we hired. We wanted to have a high standard, and so we feel very good about everybody that we're bringing into this organization, and we think they all have very bright futures, and that this Board of Commissioners is going to be very proud of the work that they produce. So, with that said, I'm going down the list. We have a new executive assistant, and her name is Shayna Sullivan. All right. Okay, then we have a new HR administrator, and her name is Casey Morris. All right. Then we have a new Florence rental assistant HCV specialist, Jamila Johnson. And we have a new Florence community manager, Vanessa Davis. And we have a new Sherrall maintenance technician 1 Frederick Brown. We have a new Florence detail maintenance technician, Joseph Wilson. We have a new Florence maintenance technician 2, Abdul Jaffer. We have a new Florence maintenance technician 2, Jim Garland. We have a new Florence rental assistant maintenance technician 2, Matthew Jenkinson, who's not here. And we have a new Florence rental assistant detail maintenance technician, Christopher Bailey.
I don't like this all the time.
Well, we want to usher, and we also have a brand new, as of today, again, the first day, we have a brand new Director of Facilities and Maintenance, Mr. Montel Belton. All right. And again, we look forward to the great work that all of these individuals are going to bring to our organization. And we say thank you, and we're going to let y'all go on back to work so y'all can start doing some great work for us. Thank you. Yep, back in the back. Did I miss you? What's your name again? Janelle. That's right. Okay. And I forgot the position you're in again.
I'm not in the position. I'm for the public.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you. No, you can stay. Okay. Yeah.
Did you want to address the board? Okay.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Doing
I'm
great.
super nervous, so I apologize.
That's okay.
So
Can we,
I'm here.
before you go, can we get you to fill out a,
I can.
Shannon, you have it?
And while you're waiting on that, you're Miss Green,
Yes, ma'am.
I may lie.
Hey, Miss May, I know your voice.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's Mr. Gerard.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Green.
So my biggest issue, so I'm gonna start from the beginning. It started in 2022, I was living in McGowan Commons, and I had to move from there. I still haven't received the reason why I had to move from there, but that's when my problem started. It took me like 2 months to even move out of the house because I could not find a property within a timely frame. So, and then with my caseworker, I lost my job in May. I called her, still haven't received any information from her. Then she reached out to me the following month, and she had me still pay rent for that apartment when I was not working whatsoever. So once I moved out of the apartments, they allowed me to move in a trailer. No, the trailer didn't have no refrigerator or stove, and I stayed in the house for 8 months with no air or heat, having to run the oven. I stressed the issue to my caseworker, called multiple times, but the biggest issue for me is communication. So once I had to move from here, I think it's 510 East Clifford Street, and I apologize, I'm nervous. So the house is infested with mold. I lived in the house for 8 months with no air and heat, and then 6 months with mold. So I still have some of the documentation from when I moved into the house, And I kind of feel like they were aware of the mold in there, because on the email it said mold-like substance around shower head, but you still allow me to move into this property. So as of August the 1st, I had to move from that house, even with the mold. And from September the 30th up until now, me and my kids have been living out of my car. I came up here and spoke with everyone, and they flat out told me that you have a voucher. You have to find a property, which I found a property, but they denied the property they said that the air vents needed coverings, the oven did not work, and the toilet needed a pump. So my biggest issue is you allowed me to move in this trailer with mold in the showers, in the bathrooms, and no air conditioning, no heat, no refrigerator. But you denied me this property, which is perfectly fine. It was only little minor things, knowing the situation that I was in. So they denied the property 2 days before I had to move out. So I have been coming up to the housing authority for the past month and a half, because I've been reaching out to everybody, calling, trying to talk to someone, but nobody was reaching out to me. And I have lost so much, I have used up all my time. It has been drastic. To this day, I still have my clothes in my car right now. And my kids, having to drive my kids from Timminsville, they're in school in Timminsville, then I have to turn around and go to work, having to be late to work. It has been drastic for me. And like I said, my biggest issue is communication is key. We're the residents. If we're reaching out to you and we're trying to talk to you, we don't know anything about this. We don't know anything at all. That's why we call. I know they're sick of seeing my face to this day, because I came up here every Tuesday and Thursday. Because like I said, my kids needed a place to stay. And that's why I'm here today. Because I don't want anybody else to have to go through what I went through within the past 2 years.
Before, Ms. Green,
Yes.
where are you living now?
Right now, I'm back and forth. I was going from my family member's house because I don't have a designated place to stay. All of my clothes are still in the trunk. So basically, me and my kids would stay a night at a family member's house, get dressed, and then I have to drive them to school and to work. I had to change my whole work schedule just to make it to work on time. I'm thankful they didn't fire me.
Okay, did someone contact you yesterday about this?
They did. They finally passed the inspection on the property on yesterday. But my biggest issue about that is I didn't know anything about it. No one called me about the inspection. No one told me that the inspection was done. No one even called me and told me that the inspection was passed.
How did you find out?
I called Ms. Jennifer yesterday afternoon about 4:30. Ma'am? Yeah, I called Ms. Jennifer about 4:30 yesterday when I got off of work. I normally get off at 4 o'clock.
That was about the time you called me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I feel like it's communication, because if it's an inspection, I could have been in my house yesterday, but you guys didn't contact me and let me know anything has been done. I didn't even know that the house has passed the inspection whatsoever until I called. And I feel like I should have been notified when the inspection was done and when the inspection was passed. I wouldn't have known if I didn't call.
And you were right. As the committee, I mean, not committee, but as the commissioner for the residents, you are correct. And I am sorry that you had to go through all of this. Are you going to be able to get into your house today?
Yes, ma'am. I took off. I was supposed to be to work, but I took off for work today to be here and to try to get everything moved.
We appreciate you coming.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
You guys have a great
and have a
day.
nice day. And let us know if you have any other problems.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Pass that to you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you gotta have it.
Okay. All right, are there any areas of unfinished business? Any areas of unfinished business? Okay. Floor is now open for new business.
I have two concerns, Chair and Board of Commissioners. Number one, You know, as you've heard, the residents, and we get a lot of complaints in regards to the hours of working. When in executive session, I would like to talk about some new hours. For example, I came here yesterday, the door said 5 o'clock, and Sheena opened the door, and there was just before 4 o'clock, but the door was locked. If it was locked to me as a commissioner, it's locked to the public. And so I want to talk in executive session in regards to, you know, looking at the hours of operation, even if we're behind in work, as they're saying, you know, looking at some things, you know, what can we do on Fridays? Because, you know, in regards to working Fridays, the hours of operation, it's obvious if we open 4 days a week and we only open to the public for 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, what are we doing with the other days of the week if we're behind in everything? Are we just coming to work and just getting a paycheck if we're not returning calls? So I'd like to, you know, talk about that in executive session. And then the voucher amount. You know, I sent you guys as a board, this is a complaint for a lot of the residents. And I sent you pretty much what HUD is saying and what the state is saying. I mean, it's always like these young ladies coming before us. If their vouchers are only $900 and the rent for a 1-bedroom is $1,100, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It just doesn't make mathematical sense for me. You know, if you get $900 and you got 2 kids, you need a 2 or 3 bedroom, and a 1-bedroom is $1,200 or $1,300 a month. That doesn't really make sense. So I like to add those 2 items in the new business to talk about in executive session.
Okay. And I would like to, is Commissioner Robinson still on the phone?
Commissioner Robinson?
Okay. All right. I would like to open, there are 2 committees that that should consist of staff and at least a commissioner. The first committee is the strategic planning committee. Is there any commissioner that would like to volunteer to be on the strategic planning committee?
Would you explain what that committee does?
Go ahead.
You know, we have to do a strategic plan for the agency for 5 years and update it every year. And we want to have a board member or members to serve on that committee. Yeah, 1 or 2 I think would be appropriate.
Okay. Is there volunteer?
Yes, I volunteer.
Thank you, Brother Point. And I volunteer. Okay, the second one.
For clarity in Parliament,
Yeah.
you technically can't volunteer because you're an ex-official, so you're already on the board.
I'm already on the committee. But I will be a working part of the committee. Okay. The next one is the Personnel Policy Committee. This is the committee that is actually going to look at our EIM and our personnel policies to recommend changes to make sure that we are up to date on our EIM. Is there any commissioner that wishes to volunteer on that?
I wish to remain on it.
Okay.
Who's already on that?
We don't have, this is the one for the agency itself.
Oh,
For the-
it's names, so that's
No. I think he's looking at the personnel committee.
Oh, personnel. And that's
As
part of
opposed
it.
to, no,
That's not a part
that's,
of it.
that's completely separate. All right, I'm gonna make an executive decision on that one. The members of the bylaw committee, the current members of the bylaw committee, I think that the two of you, Commissioner Moultrie and Commissioner Williams, I would like for you all to participate on the Personnel Policy and Procedures Committee for the agency also.
I
Okay.
object, and again, based on some of the things that I'd like to speak about in executive session.
An appointment is an appointment.
Okay.
So,
But please note my issue with it.
all right, I do note your issue with it, but, we've got to have committees that will work.
Okay,
and
and for clarity, there's already been a personnel de facto committee that these same two people have been operating. And we have emails to that effect. So my objection is warranted, and please note it emphatically.
Okay. That will be noted in the minutes, however, the appointments stand.
Yes.
All right. All right. Next, we will go to agency reports. Creekside.
Good morning. Creekside apartment update. Currently, we have 28 residents housed at temporary locations, 2 residents temporarily housed with family members, 44 residents relocated altogether, 8 moved out of public housing. From the date of this report till now, we've had 2 more people that we have relocated. Any questions?
How many have not been located? How many have not been, are still displaced? I'm sorry.
We have 26 right now.
And the reason still being not there, because I heard we had like apartments, or we had somewhere to place them, or they just don't wanna be moved.
Well, as the apartments get ready, we actually offer, and the ones that don't accept, we document. If it's their second time being offered, then they're issued a 30-day notice. They would have to move.
Okay, thank you.
30-day notice to be evicted or?
To vacate. They don't have to come out the whole day.
Do they get any time after that 30 days?
No ma'am. No ma'am. On yesterday, I actually met with both groups at each hotel of residents whose vouchers have expired. So we will have to move forward with issuing lease terminations on those 2.
And how many vouchers was that?
We had 3 at one hotel and 2 at the other.
So a total of 5?
Yes, and the interesting thing is, when I was meeting with them one-on-one, someone mentioned to me, well, y'all are just gonna put me out, y'all gonna make me homeless, but you had the voucher since April.
Can I ask, out of curious, do you recall the amount of the vouchers?
No. No. But we have housed a lot of people with that same amount of voucher. It's just initiating and actually getting out there and finding somebody that's willing to accept that voucher.
So this is the tenant's responsibility to find it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, they don't get any assistance from housing?
They actually get a list of participating landlords.
Right,
They get a list.
okay.
Ms. Bennett, help me to understand that now. The vouchers, has there been a voucher increase or something?
The last time I've known that there was a voucher increase, it's probably been maybe a year or 2 ago, which Dr. Bradley spoke with me earlier today about looking at seeing if we can increase that voucher. Because here in Florence, I have to agree for the amounts that those vouchers are based upon, they're not gonna be able to find anything compared.
So how do you go about increasing them? You contact HUD, or we do it ourselves and let them know, is it done in-house or HUD has to do it?
It's a request, it's a study we're gonna do in-house, then we will submit it to HUD for approval. It has to be submitted for approval.
Okay. And you think y'all probably be working on that in like the next 30 days?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
If you remember, what is the usual time limit from submitting the request to HUD to them getting back on an issue like this?
And see, remember, I'm not real familiar with that Section 8 department. I'm actually in the process of learning that program also myself. But I see where there are things that really need some attention. And we plan to put that attention on those things.
But also, I want the board and you guys to know this, in my homework that I have done, I think this is something that we need to understand as an agency. There are two parts to the voucher. The first part is, if we're giving out all these vouchers and these vouchers are not being used, you do understand it hurts the agency in the end. Because that money is in the money that you pull down, Dr. Bradley, that money is in that pull down money. And when HUD looks at the pull down of that money and they see that these vouchers are not being spent, then it tells HUD next year, we don't need that amount of voucher. We don't need that amount of money. So my thought process as a commissioner would be, instead of giving out 200 vouchers and 100 of them not being used, give out 50 and the 50 of them be used, and at least we're housing the people versus right now, we just saw we had 2 people come before us with voucher issues. We're having people who come, and again, as I say, just as a commissioner, I would say the staff members, it doesn't need to be an option of whether or not they want to get trained. It needs to be they need to get trained. They need to go to training. When I worked on a job, Dr. Bradley, at Newcourt, they didn't come down there and say, hey, we're bringing a new crane, who wants to go to training? They had a list by the time machine and said, if your name is on this list, you will be going, make preparation to go, family or no family. So then either I had to make preparation to go, or they got somebody to make preparation to go who will replace my job. And I'm not saying fire anybody, but we must all remember we're here for the residents. And if we're not doing a service to the residents, then we're doing a disservice. So again, we gotta look at the system that we're using for these vouchers, because I mean, all these people that you're saying that's going to lose their voucher, that's 5 vouchers that we may not get next year. So that means that's 5 people who may not have housing next year.
And another part that plays in that is the housing stock that we have here in Florence. When you have so many people out with vouchers searching, and a lot of landlords are not participating. Since COVID, we had a lot of landlords back out from actually being involved with the Section 8 program. Hopefully we can change that too.
Are we getting is there a sense of why? Is it that they're able to get more from outside of they're able to ask for more rent?
Exactly.
Outside of the vouchers? Okay.
Will you ever have an exit interview with the homeowners? If the homeowner is not gonna rent to you anymore, people, do you ever have an exit interview to ask them why?
Well, actually, before a lot of the transitioning took place here at the Housing Authority, there was plans to have a landlord fair. Actually have people come in and educate people on the benefits of actually being a landlord. Because I think when COVID hit and they put it where people didn't have to pay their rent, a lot of landlords backed off. A lot of landlords like, I'm no longer going to participate with the Housing Authority. But then we have a lot of different things put in play now where we have incentives for landlords if they participate with us.
Okay, but let me go back to my question. Have you ever had an exit interview with a landlord?
No, I have never, because I've never been over the Section 8 program.
Well, have you ever known it?
No, no ma'am.
Okay.
No ma'am.
I think you can talk about that later. Would be really good to find out why, because we don't know if it's lack of communication, lack of whatever. We don't know.
Right.
So I think that having an exit interview will give us more of an insight why people don't want to rent with us.
I like that.
Ms. Manning, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Creekside a Section 8 program?
No, it's
Right.
public housing program.
Right, so the person that's coming out of the hotel, they're coming from Creekside?
Yes,
So they're going from that program to a voucher program?
correct.
All of them, or do they have a choice?
They had a choice. You could have chose to stay with the public housing program. Once a unit became available, we would offer you that unit. Of course, you know, we gave them two choices. Then you had those that chose to pick the voucher. No, I don't want any of y'all public housing units. I wanna pick a voucher. I wanna take a voucher.
Also, I think, Ms. Manning, too, that I covered a story 2 weeks ago at Georgetown Housing Authority. And then sitting in the Housing Authority from, not from commissioner standpoint, but from the media standpoint, and sitting there, they had a big job fair. And then the job fair, one of the things that they shared was all of the incentives that landlord had. Because HUD gives a lot of incentives now, and even helping some of the landlords fix their properties up just to give them become renters. I think that would be something that we could probably consider, because maybe a lot of landlords don't even know. And they probably are just afraid to deal with housing because some of them are slumlords and thinking like, hey man, I gotta fix this, and I don't really have the money. But on the flip side, I want you to think about this. When we start talking about we're giving seniors from Creekside $900, $800 vouchers, we're only sending them in harm's way because most of the houses that's in, I would say, good neighborhood,
That range.
it's not in that range. You're gonna find, if they're renting a house in Florence for $800 or $900, you can almost believe they're in the middle of crack city. They're in the middle of gun violence. They're in the middle of, you're not going to find a lot of houses. And I think with the agency being our size and serving so many people, we should really, really look at the amount that we give in vouchers.
Right, but some of our residents that received those vouchers have been placed in one of the newest and nicest places for elderly people here in Florence. But it's more or less you get out and make that initiative and make that contact. So there's two sides to it.
Or could it be they're new and it's low now to get them in? But then when they get them in, what's going?
No, basically you the program actually keeps up with the market rents. So the other thing we talked about, the incentives for the landlord, we have an MTW program where it offers certain incentives for landlords. That's why we was talking about having this landlord fair, so we could put out there what we do have to offer.
What is our, what is our goal, our date goal, our timeline for moving the displaced residents from Creekside back to stable housing?
In the beginning, my goal was by the end of November.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have to push that to maybe the end of December.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll have everybody rehoused and placed.
Does anyone know what the status is on the Creekside repairs or at this point? Will you be covering that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, can we move to, are there any other questions for Ms. Manning?
No.
Okay. Can we move to asset management?
Asset management, year-to-date vacancy, Pine, Clyde, and Lakota, 98.4%. Churchill, it stands at 100% because those units went into mod, they're not counted against us. Oakland Place is 94.66, Waverly 91.67, Bridgeland 93.67, Parkview Plaza 94.17, Creekside Villa 96.67, and that's basically because those units went into mod also. Scattered Sites 98.11, Pine Acres is at 88.33%, J.O. Smith is 96.67%, East Crest and McCall is 91.18%, and Scattered Sites 2 is at 96.97%. Pelican House 97.46%, Griggs Avenue, 93.6%, Lakota Crossing, 96.60%, and McGowan Commons, 96.30%. Basically, I'm looking at this, and all our public housing units are at 90 or above percent, except for Pine Acres, and Pine Acres is located in Pamplico.
Why is that one was like 88.something%?
Yes.
And why is that one?
And as far as, a lot of times it's hard to rent there because of transportation. Because of transportation.
So, never mind, I'll ask.
Could I, is this just a typographical error? Y'all are tired of being typographical error.
Yes.
Royal Gardens, is that typographical error?
Basically, Royal Gardens was a community that the Housing Authority used to have, and it was torn down,
Yes.
and they replaced it with your McGowan and your J.O. Smith.
Okay, so this number of units for Royal Gardens, that has no significance in
None.
this report?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
They actually just keep it off.
okay, all right.
Any questions?
So, J.O. Smith and McGowan are where Royal Gordon used to be.
Yes.
Okay, and J.O. Smith and McGowan are both owned by the Housing Authority.
I wouldn't say, I know J.O. Smith is part of our public housing program. McGowan Commons is one of the tax credit properties. And it has a difference in ownership.
Okay. Next. Any other questions for asset management? Okay. Contract and maintenance?
Okay, under contracts, construction contracts in Pine Acres, they completed the painting of all security, storm, screen doors. In scattered sites, completed 2 roof replacements, a floor replacement, and a chimney rebuild and repair. At Bridgeland, obtained bids for floor, wall, and countertop replacement. And at Parkview, reviewing bids for the elderly. Actually, we awarded that bid for the roof replacement. Under miscellaneous information, all sites, air quality solicitation for mold, asbestos, and lead paint was received one proposal, and that was from ABS Environmental. And RFQ, Architecture and Engineering Services for Creekside Village. We actually have 2 bids, and I think we're going to rebid that because we want to try to get more than 2. And the camera update, all cameras are working properly. And that's it for, unless you have any questions, that's it for contracts. And under maintenance, I'm gonna forego that maintenance one. I'm gonna let our new facilities person report on that next month.
All right. So we're gonna talk about Creekside and where's that was going to be adjourned.
You want to do that in your report?
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you. Finance?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This will be the financial analysis for the month ending August 31st, 2023 for business activities. Operating income for August was lower than budgeted estimates by $67,374. I'm on page 19, I'm sorry. My apologies, page 19.
Okay, gotcha.
Again, operating income for August was lower than budget estimates by $67,374. Total operating expenses for the month were $259,615, which was $63,149 over budget. For the month ended, there was an unfavorable balance of $107,976. Year to date, there is an unfavorable balance of $28,853. Are there any questions regarding the financial analysis for business activities for the month ending August 31st, 2023? So I did want to make the board aware Dr. Bradley has successfully done the requirements for HUD for us to be able to make the transition formally in the system to be able to draw down operating funds. So that status that we were in where we were pending is no longer the case for public housing for all three agencies that we manage, and all those funds have been effectively drawn down, so we are currently on time and up to date. And that's notated on the analysis for public housing on page 25. Just want to make the board aware. Are there any questions regarding the financials as they are presented?
I don't have it. I don't have it.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have our executive director's report.
Good morning, commissioners. I want to first start out with talking about the Creekside facility, getting it back up and running, where we are with that. I mentioned during when I made the presentation about the contracts that we put out for RFQs for companies to give us, to be qualified to let us know what work needs to be done to the Creekside building so that we can go ahead and hire someone to make those remediations. And so we have 2 bids at this time, but we want to expand that to try to get at least 4 or 5 people to submit their qualifications, what have you, for that, so we can have more choice. And once we do that, that should not take another 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. And when we get that in, then we can get these plans done, and then get that out. That's the process, is to get those, get the bid out so that we can get a price on exactly how much it's going to cost to do the work to get it back up to speed. I'm thinking we should, by the first of the year, we should definitely have someone working in that building. And from what I know right now, and I'm not going to say that, just from my looking at it, it shouldn't be as exhaustive, as expensive as we thought previously to get the building back up and running. But there's an image issue that we have to address with that building. And that is why I've instructed, prior to our new facilities director getting here, I wanted the grounds. We hired a subcontractor to go out there and spruce up the grounds, put out new mulch, everything we get in the parking lot. There's going to be a resurfacing, not a full depth resurfacing, but it will be a new surface in the parking lot. We had maintenance go in and clean the common areas and the hallways, and now they're going room to room to just clean. And we're not turning them, but we're just cleaning it because, the residents are coming in and out. The public might, media might come in and out, and we want them to, see it up, have a good curb appeal there. But then we're gonna go in and remediate it. And then we'll turn it with paint and everything, and so that when the residents go back in there, they'll know that they're in a different place than it was, and that what they had been seeing in the media. And so we want to get the image part right as well as remediate the issues, so get the stigma off of it. But then, and then I think we'll be ready to go forward.
Well, I know at our last month meeting, we said that we had someone in there and they were going to be turning like 9 units every 2 weeks. So have we just stopped that altogether?
No, the only units we turned was 3 because we have some of the people when they move from the hotel and they go into their they still have their furniture in there, and so in some cases we needed 3 spaces to hold their furniture, and so we went on to turn those, but we don't want to turn the units at this point until we remediate the issue.
Okay, so like I said, we said that we had already contracted, has somebody turning units. So did we stop those contracts and what's happening with them?
They were probably talking about the 3 units.
Commissioner Porter, Commissioner
Oh,
May
sorry.
can't hear.
And it was in the minutes somewhere, but we spoke about this specifically about there being a certain amount of units being turned.
Yeah, 3 units in Creekside turned.
I think you're talking about the units that Ms. Manning was talking about. We're turning units to get people from.
No, I'm talking about speaking about Creekside, and we said that because I asked the question, I said, so in that case, by the next meeting, we should have 18 units turned. And you said, well, maybe not. So what's happening?
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
Okay.
And we weren't talking about Creekside there. We were saying, for instance, we have a list of all the vacant units here. I didn't share this with y'all yet, but this is all the vacant units that Ms. Manning has identified for our maintenance people to turn the units so that our residents that's in the hotel can move into. And the goal was to turn 9, and I think we turned 9. I think it was we turned 9.
I think I know what Mr. Porter is talking about, Commissioner Porter is talking about. Those units at Creekside, we thought we were gonna need more, but we decided on only 3. When people are preparing to move, or we were preparing to relocate people, there's an issue sometime with you're having discoloration on their furniture. And there was a contractor that said we needed a sanitized area, a clear area, so if we move their stuff out of their unit and they clean it, they would have somewhere to do that. Instead, it had to be somewhere where they felt it wasn't contaminated.
So we did change our plan.
Yeah, the plan, it was changed. They basically, they didn't need that many units to actually put that furniture in.
So we did change the plan.
So
because
somebody
originally
has-
we were talking about Creekside, correct?
Right. You remember when Ish was saying the cleaner, if it was a couch or hard surface stuff, we could actually clean it and put it in that unit. That's the only thing that we had 3 units for.
We originally thought it was gonna take 9.
Yeah.
And that's the comment Esperon made.
Right,
Esperon made that comment, not Dr. Bradley.
right.
Right, it wasn't Dr. Bradley. Thank you.
My point is, and I wasn't attacking Dr. Bradley. My point is, we contracted someone for those units. Now we're saying that we changed that contract.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's all I was trying to get clarity on, and I was being told that we weren't talking about Creekside, but I know we were, so I was trying to get clarity on what's going on.
Okay.
Are there,
Yeah, okay. And I just want to, I have 2 other items that, one last meeting, I let you all know that we were doing the public housing inventory, and so in the green folder that I shared with y'all, you have the results of that inventory has been completed, and you see the amounts of the inventory that we have and on hand. And the second thing is at the board, the emergency board meeting for the budget, commissioners stated that they wanted us to have a laundry room procedure in place to account for the funds that we have. We have 4 laundry rooms where we collect the money out of the machine, and the other laundry rooms, the company that owns the machines collected. And so the board wanted us to have a procedure in place, and so this is the procedure that you all asked for in the documentation. So I just want to share that with y'all on that. And so that's my report.
I got a question about the agencies, McGowan, Dakota, PD Blaze, and Pelican. Are those units supposed to have computer rooms in there also? And if so, are they operable?
I'm gonna have to check on that.
Those are tax credits.
Because they're,
I can speak for Lakota. We do have a room designated for a computer lab, as a computer lab, but no, it is not operable.
Does that, I mean, aren't they tax credit units?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, Lakota is.
So that would go back on the actual owner, wouldn't it? Would it?
We actually own Lakota.
Okay.
The reason I asked that is because I was told that that was a part of how we got, the credit and how we got it, that's supposed to be in there. So if an exercise room is supposed to be in there and a laundry room and a computer room, they need to be, we need to make a correction and make that happen.
With a tax credit property, after a certain period of time, those requirements could possibly go away by the owner.
They could.
So, yeah, so
They could.
basically, we
You're
have to check and see
absolutely
what's the requirements of it.
You're absolutely right, but I think it would be a good thing to keep, that would help our residents that are in these units to be able to be self-sufficient. If they had maybe they could get online and look for jobs, and things of that nature, keep their health going. If we had those in place for the unit, I don't see why not try to keep them in, keep it going. If we're able to do that in this agency.
If I may, during the conversations about the upcoming budgets for both low-income tax credit properties, these items were brought up. However, there are some structural and more quality of life related issues that are high budget items that were given priority over fully stocking the computers and fully stocking the gym areas. They're not off the table, they're just not at the same level of consideration as far as the operating budget is concerned. I did personally have conversations with maybe talking to, specifically with Lakota, maybe networking with the YMCA if they've got some equipment over there. If they're gonna upgrade, then maybe they would be willing to donate to help us restock that space. Just kind of thinking outside the box, but those things weren't completely removed from thought. It was just, there's some other aggressive issues that need to be addressed at Lakota and some now at McGowan because of the age that we needed to prioritize, but they're not off the table and have been presented for consideration. We have some computer stock here. They're all-in-ones, I believe, that if it's not more costly to get those operational, then we can look at that. So we have some avenues the agency can take to taking a look at some of those things.
That's a good idea, and try to look for some of the grants also. They have grants for complexes, apartment complexes that, in low poverty complexes that really are just elderly, that really needs exercise equipment and things of that nature. So some grants would help out good if you had somebody, the grant writer, to really look into that also.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.
At this point, though, Chair will accept a motion to receive all reports as information, if you will.
I move that we receive all reports as information. Madam Ballroom.
Second, Gerard.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we receive all reports as information. All of those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option. I think that the laundry room procedure that we have been given is a policy that needs a vote. Now, the policy as we said, that the first thing says the 30th of each month laundry money will be collected from each machine. If the 30th of the month falls on the weekend, laundry money will be collected on the next work day. I kind of don't like money sitting up in a machine for 30 days. That's me. Now, I don't know what the board is going to say, but that's just my concern with this particular policy at this particular point. To accept it as it is. So, is there another recommendation that you can make as far as the timing? Looking at, because y'all know the day to day, y'all know how many people, how many people you have, so forth and so on. But I in this day and age, putting having money sitting in one place for 30 days leaves a chance for things to happen.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, there are locations, and I know one of them specifically on here, that it is contracted out because we don't own the machines. So the listing that's been presented of the 4, I'd like an opportunity to check so that I can tell you which properties we actually have those units under contract for, and that the contract requires them to come out, collect the funds, and then they cut a check to the properties minus the service fee. And I know that's here, so I'd like to give the board that correct information so you know exactly which properties would be affected by this procedure.
So, can we table? We can table this.
Yeah, and the other thing is with this, each one of our laundry facilities where we do collect, their machines are behind a coded door where each resident has a code to get into that door. Yeah. So it's just like a laundromat machine, and you turn the key and you dump the change. I don't think we've ran into any problems since they've been doing it, so. But a daily thing would be sort of.
Well, I think just from the board perspective, because I was one of the ones that had some concerns. I think there was a problem if you don't really know how much money is coming in and how much is going out. And Commissioner Lau lives in the property. She says over half of the property lives there. And then if the finance person says, I don't know, I don't see any financial slip. That's a problem in itself.
And basically, that's why this second sheet was created, so you'll know which machine and how much money each machine produces. Because if it's a machine that nobody hardly uses, you're not getting any coins out of it, then it's gonna let us know that there's an issue with that machine and we need to address it.
Okay.
But I still say.
Does everybody in there, in the, is it Lakota?
Yeah, Lakota.
Everybody in Lakota got washing machines?
They have connections.
No.
They have connections, they don't have washing machines.
Right.
They
don't
do
have-
have connections.
Yeah.
Okay. So we was told that everybody mostly have washing machines in their apartment, so it wouldn't be but a little bit of money that would be coming in the machines.
Well, yeah, if we actually surveyed and saw and found out how many people actually had in unit, utilizing the connections in their unit, then you're right, Commissioner Williams, then the amount of money that would be in the machines would be minimal because they're washing their clothes in their unit.
Right, they don't
So-
have a machine, so
yeah.
it should be more.
So
money.
if they-
So
so-
that 30 days would be too long for that money to sit in there.
Yeah, but you think the majority of them have washer and dryer units? Yeah,
Okay.
we need opportunity to survey that if we could, to find out exactly the population versus the actual usage potential
I got you.
based on what they may or may not have.
Okay. This will be tabled and please place it on the agenda for next meeting. What is the emergency priority maintenance call list?
That's the one where, we had, go ahead, Jennifer. Go ahead.
Basically in the process of making sure that our procedures are consistent across the board. The maintenance plan had, temperatures must be above 75 degrees Fahrenheit or forecasted to be above 75 degrees. Whereas our resident information packet in other areas here at the Housing Authority had it at 85. So what we're doing is making it consistent across the board, making sure every department has the same thing.
Is there a copy of that in here? I didn't see it. I think I did see it, but then
Check the very back.
there it is, board resolution.
So for it to be an emergency call, at one time they had it had to be, temperature must be above 75 degrees for it to be an emergency call. So it was changed in one department, and the other department, it wasn't changed. So to create consistency, I guess S and Dr. Bradley spoke about it, and they decided they want to make it 85 across the board. And it's basically, it's not a policy, it's just a procedure.
What is your pleasure, board, what is your pleasure on this resolution to change the emergency priority maintenance call list?
We're talking about changing the temperature.
Yeah, and basically changing it from 75 to 85 on the air conditioners, and looks like priority heating is going to be 45, forecast of 45 degrees.
What's the medical standard? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. What's the medical standard? I mean, I'm asking because I don't know. 85 degrees. I mean, because now we're saying that before they can call with an emergency, now the temperature has to be 85 versus 75, correct?
Even forecasted.
Right. So what's the, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the
Medical,
because yes, because that's what we're talking about. The heat. What's the? And I don't know.
I don't know, the medical.
Meaning at what temperature over a long period of time does it become unhealthy?
Yeah, he's talking about heat index. I know one time it was,
Has
I
it
thought
always
was
been
in the
75?
90s. Ma'am?
Has it always been 75?
Well, in some departments where they would actually go and update it, it wouldn't relay over to other departments. There was no consistency with the changes. And basically when you pull, say for instance, if I'm covering the maintenance on-call stuff with the community managers, and I'm reading a different number, then my thing is, so when did we change this? Did anybody know we changed this? And that's where we ran into this problem, because in our resident information packet, it actually says 85. And it says 85 somewhere else, but then when it comes to the maintenance side, it's saying 75. But we will find the medical standard
Could you
for
restate your question again?
the medical,
What's the medical standard?
medical.
Medical standard, okay.
Right, because I mean, by changing the temperature that
For which there's an
emergency,
emergency.
right? You know, are we subjecting them to the heat over a longer period of time? What's the?
I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna look it up,
Yep.
but I just want
Okay.
to make sure I got your question right.
Can we, okay, is it okay to table this until the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, please make sure that this information is received at our next meeting.
So just for information purposes, I looked at this thing, I was in the Hotma class in the last training. And the Hotma class says here that HUD Office of Public PHA issues a guideline. And this is conflicting with their guidelines because it says at least 68 degrees. And it goes on to say down here at least 70 degrees in the hot summer months. So if we're gonna make a policy that conflicts HUD, we're gonna get ourselves in trouble.
Well, the bottom line is, we follow HUD standard. That's, so bring us back HUD standard.
Standards, yeah.
And
see,
we'll make all of the agencies,
As a housing authority, we've never really participated in like a HOTMA training. So recently, Dr. Bradley reviewed the recent HOTMA training, which has been approved for staff to take to actually follow the guidelines of that model ACOP and admin plan for HOTMA with HUD guidelines in it.
But even, not to be funny, but members of the board, if you guys recall, even before Creekside in particular, I think this is before you guys got in the meeting, we had an issue and we created a policy, if you remember, Chairman, there was an issue with the seniors either not opening the window or opening the window, and there was something with the temperature, and we made a policy because some of the units, I guess they had a requirement, if my memory is right, they had to open their windows for a certain amount of time or not open their windows, but it was some policy that we made because the seniors were getting cold. And they were saying, they were opening their windows, I think, seemed like the units, the building was too cold. And the building was too hot. So we made a policy to either open the windows or close the windows, but it had something to do with the condensation of that building, which was part of that mold issue.
Yep.
So I think before we, again, and I said this in the past, man, before we make these policy changes, man, we need to make sure we look at the current policies that we already have to make sure that it is making sense with HUD guidelines.
And so my question is this: do the same maintenance policies apply for our public housing properties as well as our?
See, that's where the conflict was coming in at. Because over here on these reports, it would say this would be the temperature. Then over here on these reports, it say this would be the temperature. So it's like, okay, no, we gotta have something that's consistent, because it's one agency, we gotta do it across the board.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, we're gonna table this for now. Please bring us the HUD guidelines, and we will give it our due consideration.
I think also, Brother Chair, while we're on that subject, as Ms. Mandy said, there was no HOTMA training. But they have a training every Thursday from, what's the name of the company that we go to the training? Never. So they have training every Thursday. All the people got to do who on HOTMA is get on the training.
We do training on the computers. We can actually do those webinar trainings that they have on the computer, but as a group training, as far as our ACOP and our admin plan, with all these new changes that HOTMA is coming up, there is an electronic guidebook, a model guidebook that's modeled behind HUD's policies that we're gonna sign up for everybody to take that class.
So I think also too, Ms. Manning and Dr. Manning, when I sat in the HOTMA class, I did not go in the commissioner class, I went and sat in the HOTMA class because I wanted to know. And there is a lot of changes that's coming from the HOTMA and Inspire that the staff needs to know as well as the maintenance. So I think part of the training is you got to go to training to get trained if you want to learn. I don't know everything, but I go sit in the classrooms and I take other things that I read so that I will know. Folks can argue, my demeanor, they can argue my character, but I promise you this, everything that I say and do, I can go to the ACOP in the office and I can say, this is what the ACOP say. Or I can pull the EIM and I can say, this is what the EIM say. When you learn policies and procedures, then you have a leg to stand on at all times. And I would say that to the commissioners and to the staff. Learn the policies and procedures. And once you learn that, folks will get mad, but hey, you got what you need to stand on. And I say this to the commissioners, go to other classes other than commissioner training classes, so that when things like temperatures come up, you understand and you know and you're well versed to understand, like, hey, this doesn't make sense. This is what they're saying. So again, I piggyback on this. Staff, board members, figure out what this Hotman Inspired says, because there is a lot in the Hotman Inspired that's going to help you be able to do your job and do it effectively and not get in trouble.
We have quite a few staff that actually went to the HOPMA training in August, and we had quite a few staff that went into that Inspire training. Yeah, there are a lot of changes coming. A lot of changes are coming.
At this point, looking at our time, Chair will now accept a motion to go into executive session.
Do we go into executive session?
It's been moved and properly second that we go into executive session to confer with the board's attorney regarding legal matters and pending litigation and personnel matters pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 30-4-70 A1 and A2. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Opposers have the same. All right, let's go into executive session.
Commissioner, I just want to be clear about what it is we're discussing. There will be a discussion of minutes or hours, since that wasn't referenced in your vote, correct?
As far as in executive session,
Yeah,
no, we're going to do what we said.
just for pending.
Yeah. Right. And there may be actions after that.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure you wouldn't be discussing it.
Okay. Ready?
There we go.
Chair will accept the motion to come out of executive session.
Gerard Motion, I make a motion, we come out of executive session.
I second that motion.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we come out of executive session. All of those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option. First, there was a nomination on the floor for vice chair for Gerard Moultrie, and that nomination was closed on that one said name. Chair will, all of those in favor of Mr. Gerard Moultrie fulfilling the unfulfilled term of the vice chair for the Housing Authority, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option.
I abstain.
There is one abstention. And it is welcome to the second hot seat, Brother Moultrie. Okay. Chair will accept a motion. I think that there was some discussion before we left concerning the hours of operation of the Housing Authority. So what's your pleasure on that, please?
I make a motion that we allow Dr. Bradley the opportunity to adjust the hours as needed to serve the public.
I second the motion.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we allow Dr. Bradley to adjust the operating hours of the Housing Authority of Florence as needed to serve the public. All of those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option. And it is ordered. Thirdly, we understand with the voucher system that there is some leeway in there's some leeway in establishing the amount of the voucher. So Chair will accept the motion. Okay. The chair will accept a motion to authorize that leeway, giving Dr. Bradley the opportunity to within the regulations to raise the amount of the voucher.
I move that, that Dr. Bradley has the opportunity and chance to find a way to raise the voucher for the residents so that they can find an adequate place to live.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we allow Dr. Bradley the opportunity to raise the voucher limit within the, can I say within the amounts of the regulation?
Exactly, absolutely.
Within the amounts of the regulations, so that people can find adequate places to live. All of those in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers have the same option. And it is so ordered. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you. We've had a relatively long meeting this morning. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for everything that has been said. And thank you most of all for everything that has been done. To the commissioners, we know that this is a volunteer work, but we just thank you for your commitment to the residents, the housing residents of Florence, and just keep every one of us in prayer as we move forward in the business of the Housing Authority. Now, all hearts and minds are clear?
Yes.
Then Chair will accept a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
And it is so ordered.